Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. So many things in the polity. It's the season, the campaign season, and former President Obasanjo. On Monday, our caption was that he's at it again. OBJ is at it again. Well, still on OBJ because he's standing by his statement. He's spoken since. Also internationally, he's spoken on BBC Yoruba, just in case there are non-English speaking people. And so the long and short of what he's saying, he's keeping with the message. He's saying that, whereas he is not saying that his preferred candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, is a saint or a messiah, he is not, so he said, but he still prefers him. He stands by everything he wrote in his book. That's President Obasanjo for you. He's not about to change anything. In other words, he's standing by what's in his book. But as he puts it, he's a Christian. And God tells him, his faith tells him, God says, if you don't forgive, neither will I forgive you. So on the basis of that, why will I not forgive? He came here, he begged, he repented. Why will I not forgive him? And long story short, he's going to be at least twice as good as President Buhari for now. That's OBJ for you. He wrote a book. He's standing by his book, telling all of us that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, when he was his vice president, was damaged goods. And he says he's staying by that, but that he thinks our situation is such that he still will be better. Well, elders usually have this prerogative in this society. They speak, you listen respectfully. And that's because most of them, well, that's just the way we are. And so this is the confusion for me. In a different context, General Danjuma has also said that elections are about to be rigged, but speaking about his own faraway Taraba constituency. So we thought maybe get another elder and see if he can understand the way elders think. If President Obasanjo is saying he stands by everything he wrote in his book about Atiku Abubakar, but that he has begged, he has repented, and I have forgiven, and therefore I commend him to you. Maybe another elder could help us understand it. Ayo Okpadokun. Mr. Okpadokun doesn't like to be called High Chief. That's what I would have preferred. But he says, no, that's not for me. Good morning, sir. Great to have you on.
Happy New Year, Yori.
Compliments of the season.
Compliments of the season. I remain ordinary Ayo Okpadokun.
Thank you very much for coming on, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, one of the main reasons you're here, apart from the fact that you have this wealth of knowledge on the Nigerian polity, having been involved from back in the day. The other thing that's important is that you're an elder too. And as I said in my opening monologue, I'm trying to understand the elders. And oftentimes, when an elder sounds contradictory, could it be that there's wisdom hidden in that contradiction? I'm just trying to find out here. What do you think about the Obasanjo outburst?
Thank you very much. I think it's important for me to let the viewers know the following. Let me presage my contribution by establishing this basic attitude that I hold very dear to myself. Elders in our society are to be respected. Homage are to be paid to them. Their views are supposed to be given highest consideration. But in Yoruba land, because we are a nationality of highest cultural pronouncement, we normally expect that elders will behave like elders. They will not behave like toddlers. And their behavior will be consistent with their age, that ought to bring wisdom, that ought to exhibit maturity, that they will not be flippant, they will not be indecorum, they will not be indecent, they will be circumspect in their interrogation over family and public affairs. Unfortunately, because I'm a Yoruba man, because I'm above 70 myself, I like to let people know that whatever I say here, I'm not unmindful of my background and my situation in life.
Okay. I know with this preamble to what you're about to say, I think you can get into it. But I do want to play first an aggregation of commentary that we got out there,
Okay.
you know, on what the program is referring to as the OBJ outburst.
Okay.
This is not the first letter former President Olusegun Obasanjo is writing to President Muhammadu Buhari. This 16-page letter is a follow-up to the one he earlier wrote to President Muhammadu Buhari in January 2018, advising him not to recontest election in 2019. TVC News caught up with these state representatives of the National Population Commission after the valedictory ceremony held for the chairman, National Population Commission, Eze Duru Iheoma. They say former President Olusegun Obasanjo should allow President Muhammadu Buhari continue the work he has started.
During Obasanjo's tenure, that is where we had the height of insecurity in Nigeria. The massacre, if you remember, in Rivers State, in Bayelsa State, the massacre at Zakibiam, you know, and then the rate of kidnapping was almost 100% in Nigeria, as at that time he was ruling. Now, the president came in, a whole local government was lost. In fact, 17 local governments were lost to Boko Haram. But when the General Buhari administration came on, under 6 weeks, they recovered these local governments from the hands of the Boko Haram.
If actually you want somebody in the north, since all the major political parties have ceded their presidency to the north, if you're looking for somebody from the north, well, maybe if you can bring Sadana from the grave, that's the only person that can equal this man in the north.
In Yoruba land, we don't insult our elders. I was a victim. The day during my election, I did not hear any result until my opponent got into the red chamber. That was 2010. You see, before I recontested again for the Senate. So by Obasanjo to have said this kind of unparliamentary language to our dear president, I think is very unfair.
The presidency's response to the former president through his media aide Garba Shehu was caustic. The claim that President Buhari has put in place rigging machinery is outrageous. We are unable to get the words to describe a 90-year-old liar. Obasanjo is jealous because President Muhammadu Buhari has more esteem than him, and the sooner he learns to respect him, the better. The INEC chairman, Mahmood Yakubu, had also offered a defense for his institution, which was under attack. What we will do as a commission is to study the allegation raised and amend where we have a lacuna. What I want to say is that the present commission has the courage to conduct a good election for the Nigerian people. And for the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, he has this to say. I personally have serious doubts about the present INEC's integrity, impartiality and competence to conduct a fair, free and credible election. And if the INEC is willing, will the ruling party and government allow it? The 16th of February is almost here, and then Nigerians will be left to decide who will rule them for the next 4 years.
Okay, so there we have it. Some views from outside there. And where we had got to is that you need to give us some background.
Thank you.
Go, sir.
Thank you very much. I'd like to give this introduction to my response first. I regard this last letter of Obasanjo as the last desperate attempt to give life back to the conclave of the conspiratorial edifice he built to oppose and confront Buhari, which had failed. Because all the people he packaged together in a so-called coalition had remained very unknown, very unsung, unheralded. The bidding to unseat Buhari through that coalition had failed abysmally. So he needed to do something. And that's the cause of this letter. Because if you will go through the content of that letter,
an 18-page letter.
Obasanjo was even inviting his friends, his compeers, his co-collaborators from abroad. I'm honest with you when I say this, because it can be checked on the line. I'm not saying anything new that I've not said before. He's an agent. So, Otafam, Obasanjo Ota Leadership Forum, and other things have been sponsored by the CIA. He's inviting them now to be interested. And it's to cow down, even to oppress the current government, to show that it's highly connected to the Western Hemisphere. I thought that is the most damaging, very irresponsible thing that a so-called elder can do to our country at this time.
Could I just come in there? President Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo, clearly has influence, and everybody knows that he has influence. Whether he then has sufficient influence to get the CIA to do his bidding, I think most people will say is doubtful.
It's not doubtful, because I'm honest. I say, you go and
American
check.
CIA.
Yes. Look, the week after he was elected as president, in 1999, if you go to the internet, I think it must be about April 24, between April 24 and 28, 1999, there was a release of dossier on Obasanjo. And I now have, on my internet, the classified information of secret of Obasanjo's linkage and involvement with the CIA. So when Alhaji Balarabe Musa said he has found out that he has been an agent of the foreign bourgeois establishment to hold the Nigerian nation by the gulag, I have no doubt in my mind that that is the true situation.
The only problem with that is that Obasanjo is a patriot.
I don't believe
He might go about it in his own way.
I don't believe.
But he's a known patriot.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. A patriot will not do what he had done too much. He had done the greatest damage to the Nigerian nation. And I say this with all sense of responsibility. Look, in Wale Ademoyega,
because what you're suggesting works against Nigeria,
as a
not
whole,
any individual opponent.
As a whole.
And that is what I'm now hard-pressed to see Obasanjo being involved in.
And I'm saying to you that if you give me room, I will give a little bit, just so that you can go and check through. That's why Wale Ademoyega, in Why We Struck, spoke to Nigeria. He wrote down before he died that even as close as Obasanjo just was with Nzogu never involved him. He never told him anything, because they say he was a colorless character. It's not my word.
I read the book myself.
You read the book? Before Murtala was assassinated, go and check through the internet, you find out. It was not that, it didn't happen by accidentally. cannot be said that Obasanjo did not know that that was going to happen.
No, these are way out. These are heavy-duty, grievous allegations.
Go to the internet, you will find them there.
All of this is by way of, as you said, background introduction
yes.
to what we are referring to as his outburst this time against sitting President Buhari.
That's what I'm saying. After he left office, that's why, because he was very much part of the CIA establishment.
You insist on that?
Yeah, I'm insisting on that. They sponsored the leadership forum for several months.
He could action this in court, you know.
Oh my God, I'll be too happy. Let him go to all the information that's available in several places, and then go and say I reject it. So now I'm saying, therefore, that this is invitation to his Western collaborators to come and see what they can do to embarrass the current government. I'm not a politician, a partisan politician. That's why I don't want to speak for...
Which is what President Obasanjo himself said, that
but
he would no longer be involved in partisan politics. He's saying that everything he's doing is for the best interest of Nigeria.
You know that it's not truthful. If a man of his age, 80 plus, who said God will punish him if he forgave Atiku, had gone, consuming his own vomit, and then now telling Nigerians that it is this same person that is better than Buhari.
He was angry then, but now he remembered the Bible this time around.
Then let me tell you something that is wrong. Buhari, for all intents and purposes, is not a saint. He's not an angel. For me, the most important thing that will make me support Buhari till tomorrow is the struggle, the campaign against corruption. And the gang up of quite a number of these so-called generals, not all of them, is in respect of the campaign against corruption. They are angry because their secrets are being unleashed to the public, and many more will be revealed. Look, nobody has asked any question about Ali Button.
But you see, the problem I have with that, sir, is that former President Obasanjo has oftentimes said that his actions are not taken from a point of view of his individual self-interest.
Oh my God.
That everything he does, he's thinking of Nigeria first.
You can tell that to the morons. I'm here. I've been here for quite a while. We knew what was the status of Otafam before it was picked up by Abacha. Go and see what that place will look like now. What is the worth of General Obasanjo today? So I can't tell you that one to anything. Is there any morality left in Obasanjo that a sitting president built a Belt University? Where did he get the money? Where did he get the money?
But Obasanjo is not running.
No,
Obasanjo is not running in this election.
I understand.
To you. I understand what you're saying.
He was in office. What morality? He was that highest height of corruption? How can Obasanjo talk about corruption of anything in Nigeria today? Nepotism. When he talks about nepotism, I think that perhaps is limited in his education, because until he went for this noun something, all that he had was his secondary education.
But
he must be careful.
Education in the military is equivalent.
No, it's not equivalent. That's the problem that we had. They never had regard for education. Most of them were governors, and most of them were military.
But Obasanjo has written books. Obasanjo has written books.
Must he be the one to write it?
No, just in relation to education. He's educated enough to write numerous books.
Well, that is not anything new.
Okay.
That's not anything new.
No,
but I'm
because
saying,
you were bringing his education into it.
Yeah, I'm saying that is why he could not understand certain basic norms that a society needs to be to have. For example, throughout his tenure, as a military man, as a civilian, education, the percentage of given to education in all its budget, there was no time that it was more than 5 to 7%. When UNESCO said Nigeria should, every nation under UNO should accord 26% to education. That was the recommendation. The military juggernaut who ruled Nigeria never had regard for education at all. And they have totally subverted education and destroyed the education system in Nigeria. But what worries me most is this. Obasanjo is the architect of the destruction of many things that had been built by our primus inter pares, the first premiers of Nigeria. What they used the regional resources to build, he nationalized when he came into office. Education, media houses, river basin authority, and the likes. Then the worst one was the local government system. When we were growing up, local government was local government. Retired men and women were councillors. They only took sitting allowances. It was Obasanjo who set up Ibrahim Dasuki panel to restructure local government in Nigeria in 1976. And in the process, it was the implementation of that has led us to where we are today. That what happens in Moshi must happen in Karan and Moda. The salary that is paid to a councillor in Yanapaja must be the one that is paid to them in Guzo.
Okay.
The basis of that is that much of the money that ought to be spent to service the people are spent on bureaucracy, which the military unreasonably had created. Look.
But all of this, sir,
yes,
characterizes Obasanjo the way you've seen him,
yes,
from from the opposition,
from the facade that
yes,
he presented himself
as.
Because
I was going to now try and bring it into the present, that be that as it may, the point he's making right now, and this is why you've given us all this background of that, this is the gentleman, the individual, the way I see him. I don't know if that, are you saying that detracts from what he is saying now? For instance, he says that he accuses the president of incompetence, especially as it relates to Boko Haram.
Please, no, then, because I don't want to forget, let me take Boko Haram. If there's any Boko Haram in Nigeria today, Obasanjo was the masterpiece, is the most guilty of all. When this young man, Mohammed, what was the other name? Bono? Yusuf, that's right. When he started, the Department of State Security went on the offensive and arrested him and all his gangs, almost about 3 or 4 times. And they were brought to Abuja, interrogated. Obasanjo succumbed to pressure of some of his cronies. And then those guys were released. And Madu Sharif, who was using them, who started using them now for his political purposes, started funding them. But at a time, he ceased funding. Then the young man felt, you go and collect all this money from the national government for our use. Then you and your family members and your cronies are the ones using them. It's not going to be allowed again. And that's where the thing started. And when this character from the former governor of Zamfara started Sharia, we campaigned vigorously that was an infraction of the 1999 Constitution, Section 10, that the state should not adopt, the nation nor any state should adopt a religion, a religion for the state. By the adoption of a Sharia, it was a negation of the Constitution. Because there are Christians in Zamfara. What you are saying there, they did not matter. So the entire state were to be governed by under Sharia law, as opposed to the constitution. It was because Obasanjo did not act. It was his inaction that led to other 11 states to join Zamfara, to become 12 or 13 states that established Sharia. And that had created problem for the country. It was that one that led, that really graduated into what is now called Boko Haram. And because they now had to link up with the Maghreb Islamic group, which eventually connected with the ISIS that established its empire, first of all in Iraq, in Syria, and they came down here and took over 14 local governments in Nigeria, in Borno, in Yobe, and Adamawa State. Look, it was because of his own inaction, governmental failure, that led to the expansion or the base of this what you call militants, Islamic militants and fundamentalists. If he had acted, if he had done what he needed to do as leader of the country, those things, the Boko Haram could have been nipped in the bud from its inception.
From the beginning. But as President Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo...
You know what he said to us? He said it was a political Sharia. That's what he said to us.
Political Sharia.
He said to political Sharia, it will soon fade away.
Now, former President Obasanjo has been in Aso Rock, so he knows how it works. And he's saying from that vantage point, that is what those who listen to him and believe in him must be looking at. He says from that vantage point, he's seen President Muhammadu Buhari, and he also saw, and probably is still seeing, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and it is his judgment that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar would be better. Now, without prejudice to, Obasanjo is Obasanjo. He's not everybody's darling. He's not everybody's cup of tea. But can we now say, because of all of that, what he is saying now, I want to know what your position is. Is it that you can flick it all away? Nobody should listen to this man because of all the things you've explained. I want to
Thank you very
see
much.
how you will bring that into the present.
Thank you very much. I think it's important for me to put them squarely before the bar of public opinion.
Because what he's saying is that the only thing after all of this diatribe, the only thing I want to say to you is vote Atiku Abubakar, and that's allowed in a campaign season.
Yes, and I'm saying to you, without any doubt in my mind, I know the two characters very well, Buhari and Atiku. Side by side, we have seen Atiku perform along with Obasanjo for 8 years. The damage that was done by Obasanjo and his assistant then, Atiku, was what Yar'Adua was about trying to undo when he died. And because Jonathan had no political base of his own, he couldn't dare do anything to restructure anything. That is what, in my judgment, Buhari had been doing the last 3.5 years.
I got to take a break on this
so
that when we come back, I will not need to interrupt you at all. Stay with us, please. When we come back, we'll also take your calls. Okay, welcome back, and it's a campaign season, and our caption this morning, you can see there still on OBJ's outburst, or that's the way it's seen in certain political camps. No doubt other political camps will say, yeah, speaking truth to power, but we're trying to see in this political season, what we can read between the lines. The former President Obasanjo is now supporting his then Vice President, and has been quite colorful in his language, let the truth be said. Even though he has written that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is damaged goods, he says today he sees that he doesn't want to take anything back from the book that he wrote, but as a Christian, he has been asked for forgiveness and he has given it. So that's where we got to, by and large, and then you were going to sort of say that, look, those two haven't worked together.
For 8 years.
Yes.
What did they give Nigeria? What did they give Nigeria? Because of the crisis in the Middle East while they were in office, for most of I think significant part of their 8-year tenure, oil was selling between 100 to 100, even up to 140 at a time. Can they point to one infrastructure they built throughout the 8-year tenure? Obasanjo was Minister of Petroleum. He did not allow NNPC to be probed throughout the 8-year tenure. What road network did Obasanjo build in 8 years that he can point to?
Yeah, but Obasanjo, I pointed out, Obasanjo is not competing.
No, I'm saying himself and Atiku. Because Atiku was the chairman of the Economic Council. And he was the chairman of the Bureau of Public Enterprises. That was the time when they sold most of Nigerian assets. And we know what happened. Most of Nigerian assets were filtered away among themselves and their cronies. And they said they want to continue. For me, I don't want to, I'm not on the rostrum, I'm not part of any, I don't have the ticket of the card, I'm not a card member of any political party. But I'm saying that what Buhari had done since the last 3 years are monumentally positive. First, he had embarked upon what seems to be something like a solo effort, the first one in Nigeria, the first type it will happen in Nigeria, on a campaign to at least reduce corruption, if not prevent it, but reduce it to the barest minimum. The Treasury singular account, the BVN thing had been traumatic to most of this character. That's why everybody must look at his back now before spending money. Okay. Do you know that even in this election, I'm not sure you have witnessed the kind of election you are passing through now in the last 4 or 5, in the last 20 years. Because Buhari's personality had led to a situation where there is a lowering of the configuration of wasteful expenses that are normally associated with campaign in Nigeria. And look, for the first time,
you seem to be saying, you seem to be implying very strongly that all of this letter writing, name calling, is as a result of the Buhari's single-minded focus on fighting corruption and exposing it.
That is the most important thing. From the grapevine, what we got to know in the last 1.5 to 2 years is that quite a number of those who have governed this country, who have administered Nigeria in one ministry, agency or the other, they have been very uncomfortable. And perhaps they think that it might be their turn to come and account. So, the
more you can discredit the administration, yeah, the better.
And you know what they have done, to be candid? These military juggernauts, they pursued Nigeria among themselves. That's the truth of the matter. Nigeria had been pursued out among themselves permanently, including assets that are outside Nigeria. That is the truth of the matter.
That is the Nigeria's Commonwealth.
Yes, Nigeria Commonwealth had been pursued out among themselves. So they feel so offended, as if you are trying to run them out of
town.
Out of town. So what they are doing with Buhari is to make sure that they make it government make it impossible for him to govern by this act. For example, it does not lie in the mouth of General Obasanjo to say that Buhari is trying to rig. I, by the grace of God, as the convener of the Coalition of Democrats for Electoral Reform, we knew that there were only 52 cases to election tribunal after the 1999 election. In 2003, there were 1,862. That was the first election conducted by Obasanjo. The one they conducted in 2007 was the most busier. There were about 2,740 cases before the tribunal. And you know what he did with Maurice Uwu? It was to the highest bidder. So how can that fellow be the one that will be accusing somebody of willingness to rig?
And
as far as I'm
what you're
concerned,
saying, what you're saying reminds me of another criticism of former President Obasanjo, that there's what he sees as efforts to intimidate the judiciary in relation to ongoing current affairs about the judiciary.
Okay, I'll get to that, but let me first of all please finish up with this election thing. As far as I'm concerned, the Nigerian state, and this is directed to President Buhari, that before he leaves office after the second term, by the grace of God, his government should endeavor to utilize the recommendation of Justice Mohammed Uwais Electoral Reform Panel recommendation. The key recommendations of that body, if they have been implemented, to be candid, Nigeria will have no reason to be at warfare situation.
And in any case, the chairman of INEC has spoken and said that they are up to the task.
But I'm saying, you see, you can still have your doubt because he was appointed by the sitting executive. Uwais Electoral Reform Panel recommended that the sitting executive should not appoint the electoral umpire.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You get that point? It's because like shooting stars in Ibadan, Enugu Rangers. Then you ask Enugu Rangers to appoint the referee.
Okay.
You understand that aspect?
I do agree.
Now, with the judiciary thing,
his allegation that the ruling party, the ruling government is trying to intimidate the judiciary in relation, no doubt, to ongoing current affairs in that sector.
I saw that thing. We have been so unlucky as a country. I'm honest with you. We have been so unlucky. The Nigerian judiciary that was a specimen of highest commendation in the Commonwealth and globally too before, had become a refuge or scoundrel. I dare say that. And I'm saying that with all sense of responsibility. I can remember now that last year, 2 years ago, 16th of April 2016, I organized a group and I titled my interaction with the media, "It's Time to Talk. Movement for Value Restoration." And I spoke seriously about the inglorious attitude of some of these so-called senior lawyers and the judges. Because once upon a time, we had elements of the highest pedigree, Sir Udo Udoma, Dr. Akinola Aguda, Justice this one from Rivers State, we had people of this caliber. Some of them were requested from African countries, and they represented us well. But when it has gotten to a time, because of the military perversion of everything, the time that General Babangida started to influence the judiciary for evil was when he got to the point of giving out donation of baby Benz Mercedes to the Supreme Court justices. And Chief Gani Fahimi had to file action against them. And they said he libeled them.
Okay. Okay.
So the Nigerian judiciary,
the CJN, the current CJN, who is in the middle of a situation that is being resolved. I wonder if that wasn't what former President Obasanjo was referring to as attempts to intimidate the judiciary.
The question they should ask himself is this: was the allegation made against Justice Onoge correct or not?
And that's what the court will decide.
We all of us, any knowledgeable person in Nigeria today had read through the statement of Justice Onoge. He admitted, Justice Onoge, our own Chief Justice of Nigeria, admitted that he forgot. He did not even file his official, what do you call it? For public officers, normally as a declaration form. He did not fill for 8 years. He filled the thing the same day and submitted them the same day. But in that also, he forgot to list out that he had domiciliary account containing hard currencies.
Okay.
And if the Chief Justice of Nigeria said he forgot what he ought to do, which was supposed to be a condition precedent before he even took over office as the Chief Justice, you know that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So it cannot be listened to, and it is a disservice to us. He ought not to have allowed himself to be put in this way. He ought to have resigned. Let me tell you,
the former President Obasanjo going there and suggesting that this administration, probably for asking these questions,
it is not only a disservice to the country, it is an act of irresponsibility on his part.
One moment, sir. I've got to take Tayo in Osogbo. Thank you for holding on, Tayo. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I simply just want to chip in one or two things about this Obasanjo letter. I personally would have been very much happy and much more vindictive for President Muhammadu Buhari to have assent to the electoral bill being passed to him by the Senate. This would have doused a lot of tension being raised by the opposition party right now in regards to the forthcoming general election. That's my thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You know, people from their side, some of these commentators don't understand the implication of what they are saying. What was the National Assembly doing since 4 years ago when they were in office? They ought to have perfected this electoral act that they wanted to review, so that the president could have had the opportunity of making his input if he needed to return it to them before, and it was repackaged so he could sign it to them. If he had ventured to sign it into law, I'm telling you that the election will be invalidated in the court at the end of the day, because of the time constraint. Certain things that ought to have been done couldn't have been done in accordance with the electoral law. That's the truth of the matter.
Okay.
That's the reason why President Buhari couldn't have signed that thing into law, because he had the best of the advice.
Okay.
His vice is a professor of law,
Indeed.
a much more competent professor of law. I know he will give proper guidance.
Okay. Isa in Jalingo, good morning.
Yes. Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm calling on, like you said about the CJN.
No. Sorry, Isa. I beg your pardon. The CGN just came into it. What we're talking about today is the former President Obasanjo letter and statements you know, about his former now endorsing his former vice president, who he had earlier said was damaged goods. That's what we're talking about today.
Okay, actually, Atiku can never be compared to General Muhammadu Buhari. I think so far, what we among the candidates, so far what the people have seen available contesting for the president, I think there's nobody can be compared to Buhari, because whatever it is, no matter how you hate Buhari, you must know, it within your heart that Buhari is not there. He has the interest of the nation, that's one too, and he's not going to steal our money. But for Atiku, actually, I can't say I'm scared of him.
Yeah, but when a former president says stuff like that, how do you take it, personally?
I think the former president is no better than any Nigerian. He was just opportunity to be the former president. His opinion should not be like better than others.
Thank you.
He's just maybe taking part. He'll be trying to protect one or two of his interests.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much, Issa.
I've not said more than that Obasanjo and his confederates have things to protect. And they believe that the way General Buhari is going, they probably will soon beat their turn. So they want to, that's why this coalition
and I had said that Obasanjo is a patriot. But you disagree very strongly.
I disbelieve you. No patriot could have done the damage he had done to the Nigerian nation. Okay. I've just told you. I just told you. Look, the educational institution, he's himself,
I'm sorry,
his wife.
I'm sorry I set you off again. Lawrence in Magoro, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling, sir.
And good morning, Mr. Baba Padoku.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, my contribution is, in one breath, we want to practice democracy, right? In another breath, we want our opinion to subside the general opinion. I think Baba Obasanjo has formulated his own opinion, personal opinion, not Nigerian opinion.
Okay.
And it's allowed the system of democracy to choose whosoever Nigeria want to be the president. It's to allow Nigerians. I know who I want to vote for. Other Nigerians know who they want to vote for. He cannot use his own opinion to trigger our right to vote.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. Again, that's the second person saying that. It's the opinion of one man.
Of one man. But I'm saying that, you see, the position, because of his own status, having been the former head of state.
That's it.
An 80-year-old plus, what is expected of him if he was not going to be destructive of the new generation, the younger generation, if he's not going to bastardize their future, was to be circumspect, diligent, very deep in his thoughts before making pronouncements.
Okay. Benga in Abuja, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Papa.
Thank you, sir.
Please go ahead.
Very interesting. I've been very enlightened today. This is an eye-opener to some things many of us did not know before. But now we know better.
Thank you, sir.
Let me tell you, sir. What is happening now is very expected. It is not unexpected, because when APC says that 16 years of PDP was a waste, they plundered the country, they should know that President will react, because he used 8 years out of 16. So who are they referring to when they say 16 years was a blunder, was a waste in Nigeria? So, and you can't be saying that, and he will not respond. And as the past said, you don't know what will come in the next 4 years. They may say, let's go back to the next 16 years and bring the books out and open the books. They are protecting they are covering their back. So we know what is happening. But some people from the other side, they may not know what is happening. We know it. And I'm telling you that Nigeria are wiser. Tell the Southwest, we know where we are going. And we know what we'll do by February 2016. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that reminds me, former President Obasanjo haven't spoken. A lot of people have also spoken after the event, including Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And then I read commentary from the main opposition party to the effect that Bola Tinubu did not speak well as a Yoruba man. He should not have spoken about or to an elder in that form. You got any thoughts on that?
But I presage my contribution by saying that. I thought I've said so. Ordinarily, an elder is to be respected. Homage to an elder. Respect to an elder. But that's if an elder is circumspect, matured, diligent in his work, and his thought, and present himself not as a toddler. I must confess to you, I'm amazed at the slow but productive progress that Nigeria is making towards diversification of its economy. For the first time, Nigeria is virtually stopping the purchase of foreign rice. This under this government anchor program that is succeeding. All that they need to do is to ensure that the smuggling that's going on is reduced to the barest minimum, so that Nigeria can buy rice, a bag of rice for 7,000 to 8,000, not more than that any longer. Second, for the first time, by bringing in Tunde Fowler into the office of FRS, they've gotten 5-point-something trillion. Nigeria budget for this year is 8-point-something trillion. If the expansion or the base of tax payers that Tunde Fowler had built, at the way the increment
that's the chairman of the Federal Inland
Revenue. If he succeeded in doing what he's doing, tax will pay that budget. Indeed. So that whatever money they get from oil should be for development purposes. That is what is done in other places, not the vampires who have governed this country.
Olabanji in Oshogbo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, what I want to say is that about the program I'm watching just now. Hello?
Mr. Olabanji, go ahead, please.
Yeah, what I want to say about the program I'm listening is I'm very, very happy about this program because this is my first time this is the first time I've been watching something like this. I'm very, very happy for the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Olabanji. Appreciate your call.
So the fact of the matter is that quite now the government has embarked upon the process of bringing non-oil activities into focus, because you can make several millionaires in Nigeria out of agriculture. Nigeria is one of the countries with the greatest deposits of various mineral resources that have been let fallow. Before Governor Fayemi left his office, a lot of work had been done. World Bank, African Development Bank had given them some resources for them to be able to get the research they needed for investors to be able to know the deposit, the volume of the deposit, the character of the deposit, so that Nigeria can have other sources of income, not oil, with its vagaries.
Okay, I think our last caller, I don't know, that depends on the producers. Yakub in Dokwemu, good morning, sir.
Yeah, Chief Jody, good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
I'm very happy that I finally got in. Baba Opadoku, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I always respect Baba Opadoku because he always talk like a true Yoruba leader. If I have opportunity to vote that who is going to represent Yoruba as any very leader, Baba Opadoku could have been the one, but they are not getting an opportunity to do that. But I would say that, Chief Jody, Baba Opadoku said something earlier that is very, very important. We need to hammer on it. He said, Baba Obasanjo and Atiku Abubakar governed for 8 years. They should point out what they did in that 8 years for Nigerians to know that Atiku is better than Buhari. Let me tell you, although the time may not permit us, but I will quickly say this. in the time of 3.5 years, Baba Buhari complete Itakore, he did Ibadan race, but from Lagos to Ibadan, he did so many things. Empower program, food feeding. I can go on and go. The implementation. I can go on and go on and go on. Sibori, let me end like this. I will quote Isa Onilu, the spokesman for APC. The last line of his topic of a response to Baba Obasanjo letter, he said, by the 2019, February 16, after February 16, 2019, Baba Obasanjo would know that it is not a God. Thank you, God bless you.
Okay, thank you very much for calling in. We've completely run out of time, but
let me not forget.
We've got about 30 seconds.
I should not forget to mention that it was around ungodly for President Obasanjo to be accusing Professor Yemi Osinbajo for corrupting the society by the money trade thing that they're doing. Okay. That are using it
trader money.
That is using it to collect permanent voters card. That was shameful. Okay. Because I can remember. Okay. Let me remind him.
We got to let go.
If he doesn't remember.
Yes.
That in year 2000, Obasanjo, they said they wanted to give some allowance for their people. 9.5 billion naira was given to the late Friday, Chief Tuna Nene. Where is that money?
Okay, well, thank you very much. I know there's a lot more to be said, but thank you very much, Mr. Ayo Padukun, human rights and human and political rights activist, and as you said, convener of Coalition of Democrats for Electoral Reform. Thank you very much for your insights. Some of them quite tough, but you said, I'm sitting here waiting for anybody to come and challenge me.
Yes.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Yes.
So that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.